Why opt for a professional translation service provider? The Dubbing King software, a comprehensive audio-visual translation (AVT) software for Windows. The Dubbing King software caters for various audio-visual translation (AVT) modes. It is used for subtitling, translation, and the dubbing processes. A lot of business owners have this fascinating notion that getting 3/4 of their issues internally solved is way cheaper than having them outsourced. I have always felt that this is a flawed notion, and the opposite is actually true. Outsourcing certain services is more often than not more beneficial than solving them internally. In this article, we will look at why it is important to outsource translation work to professional translation service providers. Translation has become a fundamental service, sought after by many businesses, especially in this era of globalization. It is the process that involves transforming written, audio, and video files from one language into another to offer inclusivity to the different languages of the world. There are different ways in which one can get their translation needs satisfied, either by hiring translators to do translations internally or by outsourcing it to a translation service provider. The difference between the two is clear. Hiring internally means you won't be hiring professionals, but rather, people who claim to be good translators, only because they understand the target and source languages. Understanding these languages is great, however, it is not enough to make someone a professional translator. On the other hand, translation service providers work with professional translators, who are extensively skilled. They have many years of experience and know exactly what they are doing. Benefits of outsourcing your translation work. You stand to gain way more by using a professional translation service provider for your translation needs, rather than opting for internal translators. Why should businesses work with professionals? It is for this exact reason. Professionals guarantee professional outcomes from their services. Your company is a professional entity and should always work directly with other business entities for any secondary services it needs. It would be in terrible taste for a multinational company to rely on bilingual employees or individual translators for its translation needs and risk getting badly done translations. You can get the same services done perfectly by a good translation service provider. Therefore, using a professional service provider will guarantee you greater benefits. We will now look at the importance and benefits of outsourcing your translation services to a professional translation service provider. Localization. Localization is the process of transforming a website or any other platform into another language while considering the cultural, linguistic, and technical aspects of that language. It is for this reason that it is imperative to use a professional translation service provider. They will offer top-notch localization for your company. For a while, people thought that translating their online content into another language without fully taking into consideration these three factors was enough. Note that it is very easy to mess up and end up offending your target audience whenever you do a face value translation. In localization, you ought to adapt everything to conform to the local culture of your target consumers. From language, design, colors, images, and other aspects. This is in order to conform, not only to the preferences of the consumer, but also to abide by the culture, laws, and regulations of that foreign country. Professional service providers invest in native translators who are aware of all the factors that should be considered when translating, ensuring the perfect translation process. Valuable marketing source. All business owners know that marketing is as important for a business as anything else that you might think of. Working with a professional service provider means that you are working with an entity that has the capacity to boost your business to greater heights. During their localization process, a professional service provider knows how to curate the localized content to appeal more to the target audience. Since they use splendid native translators, they know exactly what the consumer would love to see and how they would love the content presented. This will 100% help with marketing. Quality translators for your project. Professional service providers are companies that have been working in different industries for a while and they know the nitty-gritty that goes into coming up with the best services for their customers. When you work with a professional translation service provider, you are assured that top-notch translators will work on your project. These are translators who have years of experience under their belts, the kinds that will not disappoint you. Service providers make sure that they handle your project with high regard and the results are always pleasing and accurate. Can handle bulk projects. If you are a company that constantly has lots of files that need to be translated, a professional translation service provider would be the best option to help you work on these files. They can handle bulk projects because of the number of translators they have. Hiring 1 or 2 translators to work internally is also an option, but it would take them almost a month to finish something a service provider can finish and hand in a week. This means you can meet your targets on time and won't have to worry because the service provider will handle everything for your business. Availability of a workflow process. Service providers usually have a strict and stringent workflow process. This means all professionals in the process know exactly what they are supposed to do and what is required of them. You won't have to worry because your files are being handled by extremely professional people. Different professionals have different roles in the translation process. Some deal with editing after the translations have been done, and there are those who do proofreading to ensure that the translations have been perfectly done. There is a project manager who takes care of the entire project, ensuring that the quality and accuracy meet the standards set by the company and are in accordance with the client's requirements. The project manager is the person you typically communicate with throughout the duration of the project. Saves you money and time. Have you ever wondered how much you would save if you didn't have to pay internal translators a monthly salary by paying a service provider a one-time fee for your translation services? Well, I can tell you for free that you will save a lot of money and time. Depending on the size of your organization, you might roughly have 6 internal translators who still don't offer the human resource to reach your monthly targets. This means you always have to carry forward your monthly targets. Deciding to hire a service provider will be more convenient, and you will always meet your targets within the set deadlines, as they will offer you the adequate workforce that will ensure this is done. ACTAS: a bridge among cultures. Professional translation companies usually hire translators who are native speakers. This means that translators understand the intricacies of the language and know how to deal with cultural and local aspects. Because they are native speakers, they have an in-depth knowledge of the culture and the language, which helps them to translate the content and deliver the exact message it wants to convey correctly. Networking and business partnerships. When companies work together on certain projects, more times than not they always end up being business partners in new and preceding ventures. A translation company with extensive experience in localization most likely has worked with companies that have entered the global arena. This can be an asset to you. It can help you expand to new markets and get valuable information that would help your business break through different markets. Covers all facets of your business. Opting for a service provider means that you are collaborating with a professional entity that will take care of all the facets of your business. They will offer more than just localization. The translation company ensures that all your personal and legal concerns pertaining to the translation work are catered to professionally. For example, they will help to avert any impending copyright infringements or plagiarism claims in your translated content. With that, it is clear why you should work with a professional translation service provider in your translation projects, and the many benefits you will experience by doing so. The only essential thing to do is to get a professional translation service provider who understands your needs and will offer you exactly that. It is very easy to end up with a translation service provider who will frustrate you rather than assist you. Therefore, be sure to do thorough research on the best translation service provider for your business in order to fully enjoy these great benefits.